welcome to the Explainer. We're about to dive into a whole new kind of global arms race. And get this, it's not just being fought with steel anymore. It's being fought with software and, as we'll see, some surprisingly fragile supply chains. So let's start with a number, a huge number, $2.7 trillion. Yeah, you heard that right. That's what the world is spending on its militaries this year alone, according to the latest data from SIPRI. I mean, to put that into perspective for you, that's more than the entire economy of the United Kingdom. And here's the kicker. This isn't some sudden surge. This figure has been climbing nonstop for a full decade. And this spending spree signals something big. You know, as former U.S. Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks said recently, we are absolutely at a pivotal moment. But here's the thing. It's not just about throwing more money at the same old tanks and planes. No, what we're seeing is a complete top-to-bottom transformation of the entire defense world. It's all being reshaped by new tech, new wars, and a whole new lineup of global powers. Okay, so what in the world is driving this historic spending spree? I mean, we're talking about a level of rearmament that we haven't really seen since the height of the Cold War. And if you follow the money, it tells a really fascinating and kind of unsettling story. All right, let's look at the industry that's cashing in. The data from SIPRI is pretty staggering. The top 100 arms companies, their revenues have shot up by 26% in just 10 years, hitting an all-time high of $679 billion. You could say that's the massive engine that's powering this whole global rearmament.
And what's the fuel for that engine? Well, it's a pretty potent mix of global instability, right? You've got the ongoing war in Ukraine, the conflict in Gaza and Lebanon, and then you add in all the rising tensions in the Indo-Pacific. It's created this widespread feeling of insecurity. And the result? Nations all over the world are scrambling to modernize and build up their arsenals pretty much all at the same time.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This is not your grandfather's arms race, not at all. The very nature of what a weapon is changing. We're moving into an era that a lot of people are calling the software-defined battlefield. So what does that even mean, software-defined? Well, think about it like this. For decades, it was all about the hardware, right? How big was the cannon? How fast was the jet? Hardware was king. But now we're shifting to a world where the code, the software running inside the jet, is the real game changer. It's the ultimate force multiplier. It lets you push updates instantly, it brings in AI, and it connects everything, and I mean everything, from a satellite in orbit to a soldier on the ground. And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. The old way? We'd spend years, sometimes decades, building these super complex, exquisite platforms that were an absolute nightmare to upgrade. But the future, totally different. It's all about agile, adaptable systems, stuff that can be updated with new code overnight, systems that are driven by data, and, this is key, can be mass-produced way more quickly and affordably. And if you want a perfect example of this in action, look no further than the U.S. Army's Titan program. Now check this out. Who won the big contract? It wasn't one of the old-school hardware giants. Nope. It was Palantir, a software company. They're the ones leading the charge to build a next-gen ground station that uses AI to pull in data from tons of sensors and turn that fire hose of information into something a commander can actually use. It really comes down to what the CEO of Hensoldt's, a big defense electronics firm, said. It's all about the intelligent and networked interplay of all your sensors and your AI. So it's a whole new way of thinking. The network itself and the smart algorithms running on it. That's what's actually more important now than any single tank or plane. So, okay, this tech revolution isn't just changing the weapons. It's totally shaking up the defense industry itself. I mean, we're seeing a massive overhaul that's creating a whole new set of winners and losers and brand new ways of doing business. Now, just look at this number, plus 193%. That is the insane one-year revenue growth for the Czechoslovak Group, or CSG. They've been a key supplier of ammo to Ukraine, and their success just goes to show you, in this new era, if you can move fast and be agile, you can see absolutely explosive growth. And this kind of disruption is literally redrawing the map of who makes what. It's not just the same old Cold War players running the show anymore. We're seeing these really agile, innovative companies from places like Turkey and the UAE stepping up to become major global players, especially in those super cutting-edge fields like drones and autonomous systems. And it's not just the players, it's the business models themselves that are changing. I mean, think about how you use software, right? You don't always buy a program outright. A lot of times you subscribe to a service.
Well, militaries are starting to do the exact same thing. They're buying a capability on a subscription basis. It's being called defense as a service, and it's a perfect fit for things that are always changing, like data analytics or cyber defense. And man, this new, agile way of doing things is a world away from the problems we see with the old, super complex programs. You look at these exquisite systems, right? The F-35 fighter, the new Columbia-class subs, they are just bogged down. We're talking massive budget overruns, years of delays. It really just highlights how much of a liability that old hardware-first model has become. But, and this is a really big but, this entire high-tech global rearmament effort, from the nimble startups to the huge legacy companies, is all built on a foundation that's dangerously fragile. So what is it? What's the Achilles heel? What's the one critical weak spot that could bring this whole high-tech industrial machine to a grinding halt? Well, the answer is the supply chain. Yep, it all comes down to getting your hands on a handful of absolutely critical raw materials. We're talking about things like titanium for building aircraft, and stuff like rare earth elements, gallium and germanium for all the advanced electronics. Let's just take titanium, for example. Before 2022, huge aerospace companies like Airbus and Safran were getting about half of their titanium from Russia. Think about that. So when the war in Ukraine started, it forced them into this sudden, incredibly costly scramble to rebuild their entire supply network. It just laid bare a massive strategic risk that had been hiding in plain sight. And at the same time, you've got China, which has a near monopoly on processing rare earths. We're talking like 90% of the market. That gives them enormous leverage. And when they put export restrictions on these minerals, well, European defense firms started saying they had irreplaceable dependencies because this stuff is literally the lifeblood of modern military hardware. So what this all boils down to is that this new arms race, it's not just about who can design and build the coolest new gadget. It's about who can secure the basic materials to build anything at all. And as big companies like Thales and Rheinmetall are warning everyone, finding other sources isn't easy. It's super complex, and it's definitely going to lead to much, much higher costs. Which brings us to a final, and I think pretty provocative question that's really going to define the future of global security. In this new era of warfare, what's the ultimate advantage? Is it all about having the best code and the smartest AI? Or is the real high ground found in the less glamorous, but maybe more essential work of building a supply chain that can't be broken?